The Legend of Zelda is an iconic video game franchise that has captivated players for decades. While opinions on the best and worst games in the series may vary, certain installments have undeniably left a lasting impact. One such game is Zelda's Ocarina of Time, hailed as a masterpiece that transformed the franchise with its immersive 3D world, captivating gameplay, and unforgettable dungeons. Zelda Breath of the Wild, A Link to the Past, and Majora's Mask are also highly regarded installments. Zelda's Breath of the Wild wowed players with its groundbreaking gameplay and breathtaking visuals. On the flip side, certain titles like Zelda's Adventure and Phantom Hourglass are often considered meh due to repetitive gameplay and technical issues. Recently, a new addition to the franchise, Zelda's Tears of the Kingdom, took the gaming world by storm. Released on May 12, 2023, it's garnered rave reviews from IGN, Destructoid, and GameSpot, each giving it a perfect 10 out of 10 score. Game Informer was equally impressed, rating it with a 9.75 out of 10. Fans were not left disappointed, as Fortune reported that Tears of the Kingdom sold over 10 million copies worldwide within its very first month, making it the fastest selling game in Zelda's history. All right, now let's look at the big picture together and decide if this game was just a hyped up lackluster or really a blockbuster hit. Let's find out in today's review. All right, first starting with the story and narrative. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the 20th installment in the series. It's the direct sequel of the acclaimed Breath of the Wild. Taking place several years after the defeat of Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild, the Kingdom of Hyrule is in the midst of restoring its former splendor. However, the progress of reconstruction is abruptly interrupted by a mysterious affliction known as the Gloom, emerging from the depths of Hyrule. Anyone who comes in contact with it experiences a terrible loss of strength and vitality. Following the trail of the Gloom, Link and Zelda uncover the remnants of an ancient tribe called the Zonai beneath Hyrule Castle. At the heart of this discovery lies the root cause not only of the Gloom, but also of the calamity itself. Ganondorf, an ancient Gerudo king who sought to conquer Hyrule and reshape it in his own image thousands of years ago. He was eventually sealed away by 7 sages. However, over time, Ganondorf's seal has weakened, allowing malevolent forces like the Calamity and the Gloom to arise from his wellspring of boundless hatred. Believing that Link and Zelda possess the means to finally put an end to Ganondorf, the lingering spirit of the Sage of Light, whose right arm serves as the core of Ganondorf's seal, releases the ancient evil. However, their well-intentioned plan went dastardly. Ganondorf's immense power corrupts both Link and the Master Sword, triggering the gradual release of his seal. In the midst of this catastrophic event known as the Upheaval, Hyrule Castle and countless Zonai ruins scattered throughout the kingdom are forcefully lifted into the sky, transforming into floating islands. Amidst the crumbling ruins, Link and Zelda are separated, with Link narrowly saved by intervention of the Sage of Light's arm, while Zelda vanishes in a dazzling burst of light. As Link awakens on one of the newly formed Sky Islands, he discovers that his tainted right arm has been replaced by the ancient sage's limb. Guided by the spirit of the Zonai named Rauru, who inhabits the sage's essence, Link is entrusted with a vital mission of locating Princess Zelda. Empowered by the newfound abilities bestowed upon him by the Sage of Light's arm, Link embarks on a quest to explore the reborn lands of Hyrule, unravel the enigmatic Zonai legacy, locate Zelda, and once again thwarts Ganondorf's age-old ambitions. I mean, I know what you guys are all thinking. I'm thinking it too. Honestly, what's it with the endless troubles of Hyrule Kingdom? Imagine if real life demanded you to defeat a new powerful villain every few years. I shudder. Well, it's kind of why we enjoy these games, right? Because we know they're just games. Anyways, personally, I enjoyed the story and might even add that the Dark Lord from a millennia ago rising kind of reminds me of the Lord of the Rings in a good way. And I love the fact that the stakes are high every time. Okay, now let's talk about the gameplay. Similar to its predecessor, Breath of the Wild's Tears of the Kingdom represents itself as a survival sandbox game. However, this iteration introduced a modified world map and 2 fresh locations for players to explore. The first is the Sky Islands that have surfaced above Hyrule, while the second is the gloomy and infested depths located underground. If you're into the idea of exploring underground caverns, virtual spelunking awaits you. Tears of the Kingdom introduced exciting new gameplay elements while addressing criticisms from its predecessor. One notable improvement is the fusibility, allowing players to combine items and create improvised weapons, lessening the frustration of weapon durability while offering more combat choices. The fusibility also extends to vehicle construction, enabling Link to assemble tanks, boats, and helicopters for creative problem solving. With the Ultra Hand skill, players can manipulate environmental objects effortlessly, expanding the possibilities of building any kind of machine. It synergizes with Fuse, making intricate creations possible. I mean, if you look at the dozens and dozens of other channels out there surrounding this game, you will see amazing builds, both buildings, vehicles, weapons. It is really fun to check out. Link gains the Ascend ability also, akin to Revali's Gale, but with the added ability to phase through solid rock. This simplifies reaching mountain peaks and traveling between ground and sky islands. Recall is another ability that grants Link the power to go back in time, valuable for undoing powerful attacks or exploiting brief opportunities. It has both gameplay benefits and story connections, particularly regarding time travel theories. The auto build feature allows players to instantly summon previously built structures from their archive, saving time and effort. Convenient changes enhance the gameplay experience, and improved user interface provides quick weapon and ability switching, while crafting and cooking can be done without pausing the game. The map now displays coordinates, aiding navigation. The menus and maps maintain a fresh look inspired by Breath of the Wild, but with their own unique style. You can play this game for many hours and you still haven't done a lot. I mean, I was 10 hours in and only covered about 30% of the game. Okay, let's talk about combat. In Tears of the Kingdom, there are different kinds of enemies. Some are the same as in Breath of the Wild, but with different colors, while others are completely new. One notable group is called the Constructs, which are artificial creatures made from various spare parts. Just picture this: the tools and hardware in your garage suddenly come alive and come at you. Oh my gosh, man. Fits the horror scheme for sure. This game also introduces a new flying enemy that looks like a huge bat, different from the smaller bats called Keese in Breath of the Wild. The familiar enemies like Moblins and Bokoblins are back, but this time they're better equipped, some of them wearing armor. There's also a powerful Lynel with a new color scheme. Since the colors of the enemies in Breath of the Wild indicate their strength, this new Lynel is an even tougher opponent than before. Old game combat skills seen in former installments are still available, as well as the new combat skills. You can activate Flurry Rush against enemies like Lynel, parry Every attack with shields use stealth attacks. Yes, backstabbing will save your life. Keep it just within the game, please. Arrows for Gibdo bones and plenty more. Fortunately, you can use the fuse ability to build new weapons. And then there's also recall to send back the attacks that an enemy sent your way. Just figure out which combat innovations fit you the most and upgrade as you go. The game is amazing from a combat perspective. If you add it to other parts of the game, everything comes together and balances out. All right, next is graphics and performance. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has a resolution of 1080p and can't play at 4K or higher. The game uses the same character designs as Breath of the Wild. There are new enemies like the golems that have complex shapes, making them stand out from the returning enemies who also have minor changes in their looks for the sequel. The characters move in expressive ways, just like in the original game, and they look equally good here too. Tears of the Kingdom is set in a modified version of the same Kingdom of Hyrule from the first game. So even though you may visit familiar places, they have been changed in important ways, which makes exploring them consistently enjoyable. Breath of the Wild already pushed the limits of the console it was played on, and Tears of the Kingdom manages to use even more power from the same system to create a much larger world with different elevations. If you look at the Sky Kingdom, then the regular kingdom, and then the depths area, it's basically 3 different games all in one. The map is massive. It's also really interesting to see a console that's 6 years old running such a huge and high quality game without any major problems. There's no game glitches and no performance issues. It's out of the box and good to go. All right, next is replayability. In terms of replayability, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom does well. It's a game where you can explore a big world at your own pace and choose what you want to do first. It's a non-linear game where you don't have to do things in a particular order. Instead, you can pick which quests to finish first. In fact, if you want, you can go straight to the Hyrule Chasm and try and fight Ganondorf. I think there are some content creators that played this game that actually defeated Ganondorf off the rip. I'm not one of them. There are different places to explore. There are so many different things to try and earn in the game. There's still more work to do that you can't help but the desire to go back and play it all over again, even if you beat the game. There's just so many Easter eggs. Replaying the game feels natural whether you beat the game or not. In my humble opinion, the strongest part of the game is the fact that it has replayability. Following the tradition of previous Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom lacks a multiplayer mode, making it exclusively a single-player and solo adventure where you take on the role of Link in an eternal struggle against Ganon. Okay, let's talk about the spirit of this game. Breath of the Wild introduced a vast and immersive open world that encouraged player freedom and exploration. The exploration, combat, and puzzle solving is combined in such a way that players just want to go on an adventure in the game. Its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, continues in the same vein and has even more to explore. However, as everyone knows Legend of Zelda and people have played different installments of it, I'd like to see a darker plot added to the game. I mean, I know it gets really dark, but I don't know if there ever will be. When I say darker, I mean a deeper story of who Link is. He's the protagonist, so it makes sense to want to find out more about him. I mean, we don't even hear his voice ever. I think these are little things that can make the game a little bit better, at least in my opinion. They also don't talk too much about the Triforce. You guys remember back in Nintendo 64 with Zelda Ocarina of Time? They really explain the value of who Link is, who Zelda is, and who Ganon is, and why that eternal triple threat struggle that binds the Hyrule Kingdom together actually makes sense. Ganon represents power and Zelda represents wisdom. We already know the story of the former two, but not Link's, who represents courage. The spirit of the game would also be represented better if Link had emotions. He hardly has any. But those are my 2 cents. Veterans and newcomers will enjoy Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It definitely has an edge over its prequels, from the story to the gameplay to the combat to the graphics and performance to the replayability is chef's kiss. There were no crashing issues either. As a result, the experience is so wholesome and engaging. Tears of the Kingdom has a 5-star rating from me. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know what you think in the comments. We make awesome videos like this every week, so be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.